Hello and welcome to our next webinar session. Today we are doing a presentation together with our partner Kasambi on wireless Bluetooth mesh solutions in combination with energy harvesting sensors. Welcome to participating in this presentation. My name is Markus Florian. I run the sales organization at EnOcean in EMEA. Just quickly turn on my camera so that everybody can see me. Just a second. Yeah, that's me. Hello, Markus Florian, my name. Turn off again the cameras to save some bandwidth and allow you to better follow the presentation. Yes, so as mentioned, we're having this presentation today together with Luca and Steven from Kasambi. I will do a short introduction and then I will hand over, of course, to my colleagues. And yes, on the agenda, as mentioned, we will have first basic overview about us, about EnOcean. Then, of course, we hand over to Kasambi, allowing them to do an introduction. And then, of course, they will give you a description about the ecosystem and then also make some explanation on actual implementation and projects which have been executed with the combination of the Kasambi ecosystem and our energy harvesting sensors. And then at the end, there's also very important, there will be a Q&A session where we will have the opportunity to respond to your questions live. And then, of course, if there is some questions left open afterwards, then we certainly will follow up with you in an email, for example. Yes, so let me just give you then on the next slide a brief overview. EnOcean, who are we? We are the world leader in energy harvesting. So EnOcean provides self-powered IoT solutions. And in this context, we supply components, modules, and products supporting wireless standardized protocols. So those are protocols, for example, like the EnOcean protocol, of course, in the sub-gigahertz range, which we have developed over 20 years ago, but that's now, since over 10 years, a global standard using, for example, 868 megahertz in Europe, 902 in the US, Canada, and 928, for example, in Japan. But we have also added support in our products for 2.4 gigahertz protocols, namely Zigbee, and then most recently also Bluetooth. And of course, in the case of Kasambi, we will be talking mainly about Bluetooth, the Bluetooth protocol. Yes, we, as mentioned, are active since 20 years. We have, in this context, shipped a double-digit million amount of products into the market. And these solutions and products, together with our partners, are used in over 1 million buildings worldwide. So those are buildings ranging from small private homes up to big office buildings, but also hospitals. So there's a very wide range of solutions and buildings which are using our technology. We ourselves, as an organization, are active worldwide. We have our head office in Germany with our R&D. We have, of course, a sales organization across Europe. We are also present in North America. And of course, we have also a presence in Far East. Our activities are supported by a strong patent portfolio, which we have developed over the years. So there's 100 patents in over 50 patents families granted so far. And we proceed. Allow me one more view on the concept of energy harvesting. Of course, that's one essential and important part we provide. Of course, it is energy harvesting in combination with the wireless communication. And of course, energy harvesting has the big advantage that you can create sensor solutions which are maintenance free. And in addition, also are based on a sustainable concept, because then we don't need any batteries. And of course, this combination is ideal for covering the requirements, the upcoming requirements of IoT in all senses for building application, but also other markets. Today, we are using mainly three principles, so benefiting from three principles. There's one is kinetic energy, so it's basically a linear movement where we supply a generator in combination with a transmitter, which is then, for example, used in so-called switch modules, the PTM family, which you may know. And the PTM family is used by a wider range of OEM switch manufacturers worldwide. And they are supporting, of course, also with our Bluetooth module, the Kasambi ecosystem. Then, of course, you can also use light, so solar energy. In this case, we specifically talk about indoor light. So, of course, it's optimized. The solutions are optimized for the little amount of light you can find in, for example, office rooms. And in this case, we, of course, store the energy, and you can you can have working various sensors, which, for example, are temperature sensors or presence detectors in the case of the Casambi system, which can then use with solar energy, and then of course be created as a maintenance-free sensor. And then the third method we are using is thermal energy. So in this concept, we are benefiting from the delta in temperature. So there is so-called Peltier elements being used, and typically those systems start with a delta of 4 Kelvin. With 4 Kelvin, you can generate already a certain amount of electrical energy, which then again is stored. And the typical example you see here on the right side is heating valves, which of course take clear benefit of this approach, where you have 30 Kelvin temperature difference between the hot water and surrounding temperature. So yeah, this is to give you an overview about the concept of energy harvesting. I'm now handing over to my colleagues from Casambi, specifically to Luca and Stephen. So over to you for your part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Thanks. Good morning, everybody. My name is Luca Ragaglia. I run the sales for Casambi for EMEA and Latin America. Our sales team is made of 18 professionals spread across Europe in countries like Finland, UK, Sweden, Spain, Germany, and Italy. To quickly introduce the company, I can say that Casambi was founded in 2011 by Timo Pakkala and Elena Lehtimäki. They had a vision and a belief that smartphones and wireless technologies in general can fundamentally change the way we interface and interact with everyday objects around us. The Casambi solution is based on Bluetooth Low Energy, also called BLE, which is the only low power wireless technology in all smartphones and tablets and smartwatches, for example. That makes it not only the mainstream today, but also what we consider the future-proof radio technologies in the world. The BLE technology was actually developed at Nokia, in the R&D department at Nokia in Finland, where both our founders worked. This is why Casambi had the unique advantage, I would say, to develop and realize the potential of the Bluetooth Low Energy early on, in a very early stage. So that we started the development of the solution even before there were any Bluetooth Low Energy devices on the market. Back to the system, I mean, all the devices interoperate in the mesh network, and because of that, of course, the intelligence of the system is distributed and replicated in every node, meaning no single point of failure. We can control a large number of devices from any point, and of course, the firmware update is over the air. Then back to the slide that you're seeing, we've been founded in 2011, so operating 10 years now, with the first commercial BLE mesh in 2014. We accomplished over 65,000 projects all around the world, and my colleague Stephen Jackson in a few minutes will present a couple of very interesting projects for you guys. And then we deliver over 1.7 million nodes. We created an impressive ecosystem of devices that are interoperable each other. I mean, the technology can be integrated into fixtures, LED modules, LED drivers, switches, sensors. This in order to create the best solution for an easy installation with the minimal cost. Casambi Ready products, this is the way we call the product within the ecosystem, which are of course produced by Casambi partners, are of course 100% compatible with Casambi native products. This slide you can see the application and what we can do. The Casambi app is downloadable free and works both for iOS and Android devices. And I mean, it can be downloaded by anybody. Literally, if you want to download it now, you can. And it's made in a way that really anyone regardless the technical knowledge or the competencies, can use it. It's really, really a simple way to use it. This makes the application equally good for professional lighting market, as well as for residential fields and everything you can find in between. As a user interfaces, Casambi offers different ways to interact with the lighting, depending on your requirements. The application for smartphones and tablets is, of course, the most elaborated and completed user interface, but on top of it, traditional wall switches, push buttons, scene controls, and many other control points can be used. Just seeing a couple of example here, extremely easy to create groups from the top left in the Casambi app. Really, really easy to create groups, and then of course you can create lighting scenarios. The gallery is very nice. I mean, you simply take a photo of a space, of a fixture, of a floor plan, whatever you want to display, and then you can use it into the app. Animation, for example, this is a way to create dynamic scenes. So with the fade in and fade out from one scene to another. And of course, the system supports both light and motion sensors. I mean, this is a kind of an overview. I mean, you can also see that there are the Casambi cloud service on the bottom right. I mean, the network can be shared to the cloud, so you can use it and configure it from multiple devices. And of course, you can see on the far right EnOcean, as we consider EnOcean fully interoperable device within our network. But I will let Stephen talk more about it in a little while. And then the Casambi Cloud API, which is made for monitoring the Casambi network, to accessing sensors using the data, and of course for remote controlling of our network. Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Casambi business model, as I said, is to be a technology and solution provider for our partner within the ecosystem. Here's a list of them. I mean, our technology is actually allowing those companies to customize their offer, but to be anyway always 100% compatible with all other Casambi product in the market. And now I let my valued colleague Stephen Jackson to continue this presentation. Thanks for your attention. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Luca, and thanks also, Marcus, at the beginning for the introduction. So I'm really pleased to tell a bit more about the Casambi ecosystem in combination with EnOcean around some projects. But first, just to recap on some slightly deeper technical elements. So we want to provide the easiest and simplest specifiable solution around Bluetooth mesh technology to deliver complete solutions for projects where you would require to mix and match a variety of different components, but ensuring that the Casambi enabled devices are all 100% interoperable. Then to additionally provide a fast and easy installation solution, whereby conventionally, if you had a conventional wired system, to make changes, you need to move the wires around, install new wiring, change the wiring. Whereas with Casambi, these wire changes in a conventional system are done via software. So choosing the groups and creating groups, linking sensors and EnOcean switches to groups or individual luminaires or scenes is all done on a software level by the application. And then the last part, where we want to be as robust and as secure as possible, the products operate in standard hardware and software environments, which means that there's commonality across all the hardware that's enabled by partners, including EnOcean. And in addition to that, we also ensure this end-to-end secure encryption solution. So all the way from the mobile phone or the tablet that has the application, to the network, to the switches, all the way through to the cloud service, that whole solution end-to-end is secure and encrypted. Then moving on to the compatibility side, we want to provide as free compatibility as we possibly can to partners, and in this case EnOcean, and the devices become part of a network in the same way as any other Casambi ready device. But one important thing in comparison to others is that there's no receivers required in addition to the switches. So all the components that are in the network, the drivers, the relays, the luminaires, are part of the network the same way as the EnOcean switches are part of the network, and so there's no requirement for repeaters or receivers. Additionally, the switch functionality that we've configured in line with EnOcean brings a lot of future advantages around making changes, but it's still easy to configure and easy to install, obviously, in the locations that best suit the use of the space. And then my last slide here is really recapping on fast and easy installation. We feel very passionately that we have the most robust communication, wireless Bluetooth mesh communication there is in the market. We have no single point of failures in the Casambi system. All the Casambi devices are listening to the messages that are received, for example, from the EnOcean devices, and act upon those messages. And really we feel we provide the ultimate flexibility to freely position and locate the switches, or in the future change the functionality of the switches, and I'll come on to that shortly. So at this point, we have a poll to ask all those that have joined the webinar, and our question is, which of the two project types do you feel EnOcean Casambi solutions are best suited? Would that be for refurbishment projects, or would it be for new construction projects? So I'm sure in the audience that have joined today, you have various different experiences of each of these solutions, and we would ask you please to vote on which you feel is best suited. Coming up, the two projects that I'm proud to present will cover both a refurbishment style project and a new construction style project. So the poll will close in about 10 seconds. So if you would like to vote when time permits, that would be really interesting for us. And 5 more seconds before the poll closes. Okay, thanks all for voting. So it's fairly clear that you feel that refurbishment projects are probably best suited for the combination of EnOcean and Casambi, and I'm really proud and pleased, as I say, to now present to you two projects, one of which is a refurbishment project. So the first one here is a project that we've been fortunate to be involved with for the last few years for the BBC in the United Kingdom and Ireland, and the BBC had a request or a need to refurbish all the lighting across all their properties, all their commercial properties across the UK and Ireland. And Casambi, along with a lighting partner, were introduced, and we provided the Casambi technology that was embedded inside the light fittings, as you can see on the picture on the right here, across around 6 to 7 buildings currently. At this point in time, there are around 15,000 Kasambi nodes across those 6 or 7 buildings in the main, and one of the goals and requirements from the client, from the BBC, was that there was common functionality. So any building that any BBC staff entered, or any rooms or meeting rooms that they entered, that the switches on the wall were common. The look was common and the functionality was common. The second part was that the installation of the new lighting had to be done out of normal working hours, out of normal office hours, which gave the installers quite a challenge around time constraints and around the minimum possible disruption to the spaces, to the office spaces. And so the EnOcean solution, switch solution, was excellent for that, because it meant that there was little or no disruption to any of the fabric of the building, both internally in office spaces and wider open office areas. And then in the future, it was possible for the switches to be changed and moved around, and also the functionality of the switches to be moved around as well in the Kasambi app. And then lastly, the BBC were quite precious about the custom style of the switches, and so the switch finish was delivered by Weimar, a partner of EnOcean and Kasambi. They provided the switches, and the client approved those switches for the project. The second project is a new build, a new construction project in Belfast in Northern Ireland, and this is a hospital, the acute services block at Ulster Hospital in Northern Ireland, and every single light fitting in this building is controlled by Kasambi. There's over 10,000 Kasambi nodes, and one of the key elements for the switch design and the switch functionality was that they first of all had to be of an antibacterial finish, which means that the finish on the switch had to be such that it could be free from bacteria, and it would be easy for the staff to wipe down the switches to ensure that there was no bacteria left on the switches. In addition to that, we found that the functionality in Kasambi app brought quite a significant advantage, where the switches were positioned in different locations and different environments. So on the 3 app images that you see on the right hand side, the first image shows the PTM device and switch being paired to the app. Then the middle image, and this was quite crucial, the middle image shows the different functionality that can be brought through Kasambi app to the buttons on the switches, depending on the functionality. If it was 2 push button solutions, or it was 4 push button solutions, the functionality was embedded into the firmware and not in individual switches. So it meant that the commonality was that there was 2 types of switch, a single gang switch and a 2 gang switch. And then the performance and functionality of the switch was defined in software in Kasambi app. And then lastly, as you can see on the far right hand side image, you can select a scene or groups or a single luminaire or all luminaires from each of the buttons. So the flexibility was really very significant for the project, and meant that the client got the best possible functionality out of the switches. In addition to that, interoperability was very important, and you'll see in the image here that there was quite a significant number of switches in outdoor environments, and in this case in a plant room, outdoor plant rooms. And the flexibility of the system meant that we can provide a hierarchy. So the hierarchy was based on manual control and or sensor control and or time control. So it was possible in Kasambi to provide this hierarchy solution in different rooms and areas to ensure that the user got the best possible solutions. And then lastly, you can see here in kasambi.com, there's a list of projects that can be viewed. And I'll hand back to Marcus.
Okay, so thank you, Luca. Thank you, Stephen, for this very interesting introduction and overview. Also, like, of course, explaining the challenges and how you resolved the challenges in these projects. So we are opening now the Q&A section. So as you know, there is the possibility with the program to raise some questions here, and then we will, with the time available, we will try to answer those. And again, if we are not able to answer them all within the time set, then of course we follow up with you in them via email. At the end, we will also show you our details. So yeah, I will, just that everybody understand the procedure, I will read them out loud, and then we will see between Stephen, Luca, and myself who is the best person to answer. So I see already the first questions coming in, and so this is probably something for Stephen. The question is, how does the EnOcean device connect to the Kasambi network? So I guess maybe that's best Stephen to answer.
Yes, thanks, Marcus. So the EnOcean devices are connected to the network via NFC, near field communication. So the switch is offered up to the mobile device, whether that be a mobile phone or a tablet, and the NFC functionality enables the switch to then be placed into the Kasambi network in the application in the app.
Okay, good. No, thank you. Then another question I see coming in is, that's probably something which I have to answer. Are there different switch styles available, and from whom? So maybe, yes, I will answer. The key here is the interoperability, as also raised by Stephen, is of course that you need to have an ecosystem of solution which can adapt to the individual needs in each project, and there is not only technical challenges but also design challenges. And Stephen explained also that there was has been used switches from VMware in this project because that was the design accepted by the customer. And especially on switches, we know there is regional preferences. There's preference in each country, and therefore it's important that interoperability also is consistent and for the part of the mechanics. And as you know, we are working with multiple switch partners in this context, because of course, as mentioned, design is different, colors of course, on printing, and of course the list is growing. And besides, for example, just again, it's not a complete list, but besides mentioning VMware, we have of course companies like Gira also being supporting the ecosystem, or Feller in Switzerland, and so there is even more, Taco. So we try to keep an overview on our homepage about this list. It's a growing list of partners, and that helps of course both Kasambi and us to realize these projects in the field. So that is certainly then important. There's a question also coming up. There's many more questions coming up. There's a question, how can, maybe this also by Stephen, how can Kasambi and EnOcean network connect to a building management system? So not sure if you, Stephen, have an answer on that.
Yes, so it's possible in a number of different ways to connect the system to BMS. The first way would be through a DALI gateway device that we have, and so it would be possible via the DALI gateway device to then connect and control from the BMS side the Kasambi installation, and also set up, for example, the functionality of the EnOcean switches. The second option would be through an API, and we have a number of partners that are becoming quite mature in the functionality and design an interface of an API solution through the Kasambi system. So they would be the two main solutions. There are some others, but they would be the two main solutions that we could offer.
Right. Okay, so thank you. And then maybe, yeah, I see there's many more coming, so but probably since we are running out of time, maybe one more. There's a question about how to assign scenes or animation to a one gang switch. So maybe Stephen, I don't know if you have something to comment on this.
Yeah, so first of all, you would need to create your scenes and animations in Kasambi app, and then through the selection that I showed in one of the slides, it's possible to then assign each of those scenes or animations to one of the two buttons. It's quite a straightforward process to follow. When the switch is paired, you tap onto the switch icon in the application in the app, and then the drop-down menu appears and gives you the list of different switch opportunities or button functionalities that would be possible there.
Okay. And then since I see really, so thanks a lot. There's many questions coming. Maybe one more. There's also a question to you, probably Stephen. What's the typical range between one node and the other you see in your network?
So the published range between nodes is 30 meters indoors and 50 meters outdoors. I would say quite strongly that that doesn't do justice to the mesh technology that we have. That would only be a point-to-point or device-to-device communication distance. By the fact that Kasambi technology is a fully consensus mesh network, you can have devices in a network that are significantly further apart, therefore use the capabilities of the mesh to extend the range. But to answer the question directly, we publish 30 meters indoor and 50 meters outdoor.
Okay, great. Okay, so thanks a lot, Stephen, for this. So yes, again, we see there's more and more questions coming in. So thanks a lot for that. Again, we will pick them up, and they will not be lost, and we pick them up, and then we'll be answering them to you via an email, so that again you will receive your answers. So let me come to the final stages of the session. So yeah, just an outlook on what's coming next. We of course continue our webinar series, and the next time we will be talking about an aspect in the building automation, which is roller shutter and sunblind, also with which can be radio controlled and in combination with energy harvesting sensors. So we'll be presenting this on the 24th of March. And on the last slide, you will again find the contact details in case you want to approach either Stephen or myself for further questions. Again, we will collect those you have raised in this webinar session. So again, coming to the end, again, thank you, Luca, thank you, Stephen, for the very interesting presentations. Thank you also for joining us for this webinar session. And again, thank you also to the audience for joining us here, and looking forward to meet you in the next one on the 24th of March. So thanks and goodbye.